Good morning, guys. Happy Monday, TGIM. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. We are in a pretty interesting point in the market right now. Obviously, we had a pretty crazy week last week in terms of movement. You know, if you look at NQ here on the daily and the weekly time frame, obviously last week we were bearish, and to be honest with you, I'm still bearish going into this week for the most part until I have a reason to think differently. So basically, last week, this is the weekly candle on NQ, and we saw price move up, take out the previous weekly high, and then come all the way back down. Was expecting it to go and just expand lower through this sell side and then into this sell side into a couple of these inefficiencies down here a little bit lower. Didn't happen, went up, ended up pulling all the way back though after taking the previous weekly high, closing back below this candle and below this candle low as well. So I still think we are bearish. I believe we'll see a retracement up a little bit at the beginning part of the week, and then we'll see price continue lower. That's my bias going into this week at least. If I drop down to the 4 hour, you guys can see that we right now are currently just tapping into a nice 4 hour fair value gap. One thing that I haven't had a chance to mark up just yet was equilibrium on this price range, which we did tap into, which is nice. Okay, great. So we did tap into an area of premium, so we'll keep that in the back of our minds. And if we can, I'll look to get short right away to this morning, dropping down here to the 15. This is that buy side level that we initially were trying to target on Friday, and basically didn't pick up the buy limit order for me by literally 1 point, which is super frustrating. It left that gap open, unfortunately, and then price ran from like right here to obviously by the end of the day, didn't quite get there. It did on ES Friday, which created that SMT, which is why we took one stab at getting short on ES or on NQ. If we got short on ES, we would have hit at least a TP1 and probably would have been out because the day would have been ending there. But yeah, this is where we're at currently. This is our new week opening gap on both of these. So if you guys haven't marked that out, go ahead and feel free to do so. I'm going to drop down here in time frames on both of these. I believe I would like to short NQ. Just looking at, again, this 1 hour time frame, comparing it to NQ and ES, you guys can see that on NQ we've obviously worked up not nearly as far as we have on ES, and you can see right now there's a little bit more willingness to push lower on NQ and not so much on ES just yet. So if we end up getting short, as long as this relative strength kind of holds, then we'll look to play that. Dropping down here, this 3 minute. Wow, this price action looks wild. That looks kind of wild, guys. Let me go ahead and do this quick. Pin, boom. All right. Would like to give price a chance here to kind of give us something to go off of. I mean, looking at the 5 minute, the 15, we took out that buy side level, and we're starting to see price. Like if I go back up to the 1 hour, this was kind of what I wanted to see. Was I was watching price this morning. I wanted to see price take this buy side level, tap into this inefficiency, hit premium, and then start rolling over, which we are starting to get here. This hour will be closing here in 40 seconds. So we'll see what this next hour brings. As of right now, looks good though. I'd like to see this thing close strong bearish, which it looks like it will. 3 minute, just looking at these different time frames. A couple things to note here is we got obviously this 3 minute order block, 2 minute fair value gap nested inside of there, and then on the 1 minute, we got pretty much the same thing. So let's go up to the 2 minute again. And it looks like we have OTE kind of lined up right with that order, not order block, that's fair value gap, which is inside the order block. So if we were to get short right here, right at the top of this candle, ooh, it's tight. Or the opposite of tight. It's loose. So I'm going to just mark this fair value gap out, guys. And we'll see if we can't find an entry coming out of here. But yeah, this is decently volatile, I would say. Going from the beginning of that 2-minute fair value gap to the high is about 38.5. We'll call it 39 points on NQ. So what we're going to do is we're going to let price come into here. We'll see, we're just going to watch it. I'm not going to just enter right away. And then if price starts displacing lower again, that's where we're going to find our entry from there. But yeah, thinking we're going to get short if we can. You know, we took, one thing I don't like is obviously the relative equal highs here on ES, if this does displace lower here. We did take a trade, not last week, the week before, and it was a great trade. The sell-off that we caught on that Thursday 2 weeks ago, where we hit all TPs, I don't know if anybody noticed, but we did have equal highs on ES that day. Not like this though. It was like this, like these two candles side by side. Yeah, it was like that. So yeah, I'm liking everything I'm seeing. The only thing I'm not liking is just that. Well, I mean, it looks like displacement to me. Let's let this 3-minute candle close. I'm saying that because this gap is a 1 minute and 2 minute gap already. Or 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute gap. All right there. But yeah, no worries about this dropping. This thing could drop all the way to, you know, put in a relative equal low down here, equal low if it wanted, and then come back for us. That wouldn't bother me. So it doesn't really bother me that these lows are getting ran out. To me, this is a market structure shift on a slightly higher time frame. We're on the 1 minute, obviously, right now. So what would bother me, though, is if this low got ran. That's where I would, you know, say we missed the trade, probably. Stacked all these relative equal lows here on ES again. So I'm going to create a little limit order right here, guys. We'll do 24.5 handle stop loss and Q sell limit. So I'm going to get short there if we can get a pullback back up above equilibrium. Right inside this fair value gap. But yeah, only problem with this entry right off the rip would have just been how big the stop was. You know, going from the beginning of the gap to the high. And it's crazy, you know, looking at ES, you can see the disrespect here, and then price come right back, retest as inversion, and then sell right off. But to me, I don't know why you would take a sell on ES when these are right here. That seems a little bit like playing with fire. I mean, I guess not the end of the world. We'll get long if we need to from there, but this short lines up with everything more so than the longs. So, you know, you can see that this fair value gap, this is the 1 minute chart, obviously, but this is a fair value gap here, and it might look like it got respected. To me, it's disrespected because we've already taken out the low of that candle. So even though the wick came back up and we closed inside the gap or above it, we took out the low of that candle. And every other bullish fair value gap has been ran through. I'm going to keep the limit order there. What I will say is this. We do have a little breaker here. You know, kind of internal. 5 minute, 3 minute, really regardless of the time frame you look at, 2 minute. From this low here, this open, to this high, this is a breaker. Again, I wouldn't enter here personally, because then your stop would go above this candle high. Well, your stop loss is right in the middle of a fair value gap, which would actually be OT of this price leg. So you see where the struggle would be having that. You'd kind of have to like pick your poison. So the reason I'm pointing this out, though, is because if price were to react here, one, it would make sense. Two, the other thing is the fact that, I mean, I wouldn't mind trying to get an entry. You know, if we do see it respect, comes down, fair value gap, without taking the low. If that scenario happens to happen, we'll do it. You know, as it comes back here to target there. So there's all things that are going through my mind right now. But yeah, that's why I wouldn't fire away just right off of the cuff on this. To me, there's not a good spot you could put your stop loss without it being huge. You know, and you could get away with your stop here, and maybe it never comes back there, but I just don't think that's great consistency, and I don't think that's great stop loss placement personally. Because we should expect these up close candles to resist price lower. We got SMT now forming at the lows now. If anything, we took out that sell side. I think this will get taken out anyway. I don't think we're gonna create SMT that sticks. Holy see what I'm saying though? Like that's why it's frustrating, because from start to finish today, we're getting short when we get here. Once we get the setup down from there, doesn't even give it to us. Just disappointing. You know, makes you just makes you want to kick a fat kid at Kmart. I don't know. See the sweep, displacing back in. That's what a sweep would look like. Obviously, depending on, this could just came back up and filled that inefficiency and can continue displacing lower. So might not mean anything, but as of right now, that's exactly what you'd want to see in a sweep, right? You want to see price taking the low, taking the high, whatever it is, and then coming right back into the range quickly. You wouldn't want to see price to continue just with a lot of speed moving through. That's telling you that this low really wasn't significant. We know that this low is because it's opening range low. That's usually a very prominent level, the first 30 minutes of market open. Which is why, you know, to make things really simple, we still do this, or I still do this mentally, I should say. But if you guys, remember, like when we first started doing sessions, we would just mark out, or what I would do is I would always mark out the first 1 hour candle of the morning, the low and the high. That's opening range. That's opening range, low and high. Right? And then a lot of times you're going to see these levels give you a nice reaction like what we're getting right now. Sometimes not. Sometimes it just displaces right through, and that's fine. Then you look for the next level, the next target. But I don't know if I've ever actually said that to you guys before, but that's a simple way to look at it in terms of analysis, marking up your chart. So yeah, waiting for the same thing now. We'll see. We're probably gonna have to wait a little bit. That sweep happened during the macro, by the way. Damn. So close, but yet so far. I mean, 100% correct if you're just going off of this 2-minute gap. That was the first thing I pointed out. But yeah, these are the setups that we want to find. These are the setups we want to catch. Not every breaker is going to look like this. This is obviously pretty, a lot of consecutive up close candles here, making this one big breaker. In an ideal world, you'll have a much smaller breaker that will make your job entering and stop loss placing a lot easier. But yeah, these are always the setups we want to find. Breaker overlapping a fair value gap in some way, shape, or form, preferably in an area of discount or premium, depending on if we're getting long or getting short. Here, right on the tick. So makes sense. It's just, it is difficult when you do have inefficiencies up above price, because you want to cover those, because it would make sense for price to return there. But it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, we got this macro doing its thing. Looking like we're displacing back up, which is nice. Basically, the only thing I'm deciding on right now is which one do I want to get long on. 15 1-hour time frame, just trying to get a feel. Obviously, ES looks like the stronger of these two. And we got that buy side there on ES. No SMT really, though. I guess we could do this. I won't lie, this is probably a little bit riskier of an entry, because we're not getting a solid market structure shift just yet. But I do think it is a good entry. Not A+, I would say just A or A-. 3.75 handle, stop loss, going to get long right there on ES, guys. If we can get a pull back into that fair value gap, might just do four handles even. That way, get right at the top of that gap. And then yeah, obviously, I really like this buy side. I think that's honestly low hanging fruit. You know, quote unquote lower hanging fruit would be these inefficiencies in price, but I don't see the world where this doesn't get taken out, truthfully. Equilibrium's right here as well. That's why our entry is on this gap. There we go. Okay. Triggered in. I really don't want to go risk-free up until like we're up into these fair value gaps probably. But yeah, got that nice sweep of the opening range low. Nice displacing price back up. Fair value gap entry, you know, wasn't able to catch that short. So after we took out a target, I believe this setup makes sense. But I'm going to let us get back in profit before I go pee. Nice. All right, just waiting to see if we sweep this or displace lower. Yeah, right now I'm just a little bummed out that we created SMT here. All that tells me is we're in the wrong one unless we take out the low. Yeah, man, I'm pretty disappointed in today because we had it. Pretty disappointed. Things we could have done differently. The only thing I would say is obviously at this point being an NQ wouldn't have mattered. We would have just been into the trade longer, in profit and drawdown, in profit and drawdown. This is how it would have ended, obviously. So at the end of the day, this was just not going to yield any sort of buy side reversal. These highs are being left for later. And yeah, the original analysis to get short from this morning was still the correct one. We'd be, you know, had we been in anything, this would have been a strong TP1. And then TP2 would be down here, which we pointed out in those relative equal lows. You know, jumping out here, 15-minute time frame. We're looking awfully bearish. I think we're for sure headed below here. I would like to see if after lunch, looks like we'll be there pretty much. So I would like to see equilibrium. Obviously, we're potentially looking to get long, most likely, for PM session, just depending on where we're at. Equilibrium. There we go. So here's the equilibrium, guys, of this 15-minute or 1 hour range. And the beautiful part about it is it lines up with this 1 hour order block, which is absolutely sexy. I like that a lot. All good. One little loss after not getting picked up, so a little bit frustrating, but it'll be just fine, and we'll look to get it back with then some later today. All right, guys. So enjoy the rest of your guys' Monday. TGIM. I don't care what anyone says. We're back, baby, and we're gonna close this month the right way. Fucking count on it. Okay. Have a great day, everybody, and I will talk to you guys later today. Peace out.